if you want to, do you want me to hit record or, oh, it's recording. Okay. You're the best. Okay. All right. So the first thing that I'd like to do, is just have some, I know some of you are in meetings, some of you are doing this and at work, some of you are at home. So wherever you are, we are holding space with each other and for each other. And I think that just knowing that is so important. And so I just want to take a moment, if we can, and just close your eyes for a moment. Close your eyes for a moment and just breathe. Just breathe, inhaling and exhaling, and just realizing in this moment of breath what this does for our body, what it does for our body to open up, what it does for our body to just stop all the noise. Because we have 60 to 90,000 thoughts that come through our brains every single day. And so to realize that they are just thoughts, we don't have to chase them, we don't have to catch them, we don't have to actually let them even stay. They can just be passing by, in and out, and to be so cognizant, to be conscious of this fact, to be conscious of knowing that we are not our thoughts, to be conscious of knowing that this is the brain trying to keep us safe. And so as we hold space and energy for each other right now in this moment, just want you to just inhale in that knowledge and exhale out and just let it go. And even if you are not 100% present, realizing that being as present as you can be is only going to help you. And realizing that every single thing that we do in our lives has a foundation of mindset. It has a foundation of a choice. And so what we're doing today is just coming into that foundation, sitting in that foundation and learning and understanding more of it. So we get better at it. We grow. So when you're ready, just take a deep breath in. Beautiful love, beautiful joy, beautiful flow, and exhale that out. So what I'm going to do today is I definitely want to keep adding in from the chat. I sent you all, if you don't have it, please let me know. I sent you all the outline. And what I want to do is I'm just going, I want it to be a working session. And if you're someone who's watching the recording, I want you to be participating in that as well, because truly it's not the information. I did the session, I did a session a few weeks ago for those of you who are in the Joe Dispenza group, and it's a lot of information. So today, what I wanted to do was really just get into how we integrate all of this with mindset. So give me a moment, because I want to share my screen. And Roya, what we'll do is Jade can put that into the chat, and then you can have the outline as well. So okay, so here we are. And what I want to do is I would love, afterwards, we're going to send out a little survey that just basically says, what's your takeaway? So I really want you right now to set an intention. I want you to be so conscious of setting the intention for what is it with mindset. Yesterday I was having a conversation with one of my friends from this world, the world of Joe Dispenza and the world of Tony Robbins, and the world of growth, honestly. And our entire conversation was completely centered around, I have every opportunity in the world but I am feeling so anxious about it that I'm not able to take it. I'm not able to grasp it with joy because I'm so anxious about it. And so I want you to, I want you to ask yourself, what is your mindset? And how do we rewire our brains? And, a lot of you on here are meditating every day with Dr. Joe. Some of you are not. So I'm not going to only talk about that. But that, to me, that adds an element with this that holds it very tightly. So, I said this before, that we become masters when we start understanding, when we get conscious, when we become the driver of our destiny and realize that it's not about what's happening around us. It's not about everything else. That our goal is to constantly be learning and learning how to integrate and learning what we do. And so when we look at today and the outline of today, as well as the whole series, it is for those of you who are not meditating to meditate. For those of you who are meditating, how do you live your practice? How do you get up and live your practice? Because we can meditate for hours on end, but if you are not living your practice and understanding what's happening in your brain to actually hurt your practice, like hurt what we're doing on a daily life, in our daily lives, to understand what's going on, then it's harder to live it. But when we understand what's happening, we live it with so much more flow and so much more joy. How do we take that and then make clearer decisions? How do we lead our lives, our children, our families, our businesses with a calmer demeanor? Because when we do that, everything becomes so much easier. How do we decrease our emotional reactions, and how do we increase happiness in our mind and body? So I want to start with, something that I noticed. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the first one. So I'm going to let's pretend that no one came to the first one if you did. So if I repeat something, these are just things that I've been thinking about. When I look at this and I think about making clearer decisions and leading with a calmer demeanor and living my meditation practice, I've noticed a few things happening, because I love to get on and I love to meditate in the groups at, early in the morning and then through the day when I can. And I noticed the comments in the chat, and the comments are, why doesn't the leader turn off their screen? What this is really bothersome. Why doesn't I can't hear properly? I don't really, why are we breathing so much? And there are these comments of reactions. And what I realize in that is two things for me. Number one, how do I not go into judgment? And number two, how can we be so grateful? How can we stay in a place of gratitude and really be in charge of our mindset? So when we talk about driving our mindset, even if you think it for a moment, the minute you place your attention on someone not having their screen on, or having their screen on, or you're walking around, or someone's doing something you don't like, being so conscious that you just went unconscious, that is a change in our mindset. And in that moment, we get to decide joy. And I look at it like that we're changing our lens. We are constantly changing our lens. I want you to write in the chat, if you're able to, I want you to think about an expectation that you have about today, an expectation you have about something in your life, an expectation that all of a sudden you might be aware of. And what I mean by that is that the person who wrote in, why is the leader of this meditation, why is their camera on? They have an expectation. What is their expectation? So I thought about that. What could be their expectation? I'm curious, what do you guys think? Like, I think that their expectation was that they were going to go to this Zen place, that they were going to go onto Zoom, and some of the rooms have the kaleidoscope and the music playing, and they had this expectation of that. And what they got was silence. And they got someone who was gearing up to play the meditation for us, who's giving their time. So in that expectation, their reality, their lens was like this, whatever it was doing. And in that expectation, there is disappointment. And in that expectation, they did not master their mind. They did not master their mindset. And here's the question. Do we all do this every day? All of us, including me. Do we all do this every day? Please write in the chat, put the thumb up. I'd love some interaction as well. And so I just want you to think about, what is it? What is it, right? What is it that we set up ourselves for expectations that affect our mindset? Because when we go unconscious, that's what we're doing. We're going into old habits of expectations. And so today, I really want to focus on, for you, like, what's your why? Why are you here? What are you doing this for? As Dr. Joe says, for those of us who follow him, it is easier to forget than it is to remember. So what are you doing to remember every day? Know how it will help you. Know how it will impact your family, how it impacts your team at work. Know how it affects your day-to-day life. And I think that I just want you to take a moment, please. And I'd like you to write down, why will this help you? Why is it so important to remember about mindset? And so, as I look in the chat, everything you're saying, it is, if God, that's a big one, that people are responsible for our well-being. And when they do or don't do what we want, it affects us, and Sarah, as you guys are writing, when keeping your thoughts positive, it's like, yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Yes, keep your thoughts positive. It's also comes from a place of, why am I keeping my thoughts positive? Because whatever I am attracted to attracts me, and I'm more attracted to it. And the more positive I stay, it has an outcome on my body. It has an outcome on the hormones inside my body. It has an energy that seeps out. So knowing your why and not being just like, oh, I'm positive. I think that is really, really important in the mindset, in our mindset. So I want you to think about, there are lots of scenarios, and lots of things that are happening around us. And so I just want you, and I put here things of, emails, things that we deal with in our daily lives and our work lives, because this is not only about, like staying in that place of, again, of Zen. It's about, like, an email comes in. What do you do about it? Someone says something in your family. What do you do about it? How do you juggle? How do you do all of this? And how will you know? And so I want you to just really think about what it is that you are trying to get to, So I want to start by, I said this as we close our eyes. Our emotions are not who we are. It is how we feel. It is not who we are. So disown it. Let it go. I want you to really, this to me is not only a concept of truth, it is a game changer. Because if I feel a certain way and I say, I am this, then you are that. So think about your verbiage. I've started thinking about the words that I'm saying to such a degree that I have replaced words like I cannot wait to I am excited. Because when you hear cannot wait, I cannot. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. That's what your mind goes to. So when we start paying attention to that, an emotion of I am sick today. I feel sick today. I am tired today. I feel tired today. So things like that can completely shift our mindset. And when we look at our emotions are not who we are, it's huge. Now, I want you to also think about, as we talk about shifting our mindset, is that what emotions have you taken on that you think own you and you own them? I want you to really ask yourself that question. What emotions today do you think are you? So for instance, I'll give you a great example. Someone said earlier, I was walking with a friend today, and he said to me, I just get so triggered. I just get so triggered. I'm easily triggered. Well, if he's easily triggered, he's going to be easily triggered because that's what he's looking for, the triggers. And he has made it like it owns him. Does that make sense to you guys? He thinks that those emotions are him. And the fact is, they're not him. They're learned responses. So the question for us, to all of us, is how do we separate ourselves? Iv, tell me about, you wrote confused. Do you want to unmute? I'm confused. I am. Okay, instead of my thoughts. So
Yeah.
open up.
Yeah, that's exactly. I know that I know that my thoughts sometimes bounce around, but I
Yes.
always feel that I am so freaking confused that I cannot keep my mind on something. But I know that I actually can keep my mind on some things.
Yes.
But I'm always saying that I'm such a confused, chaotic person, and that sets the mood.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. And so the question is, here's the thing. It is becoming so conscious in that moment. And thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I can relate to that in my own way with words that I have taken on like they own me. And the fact is, they don't own me, and they don't own you. And here's the thing, when that comes out of your mouth, when it comes out of your mouth, you say, it's like Dr. Joe says, change, 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 over and over. Stop. That does not own me. I am not confused. I might feel confused right now. And then you say, you know what? I don't feel confused. I know exactly what I'm doing. I've done it a million times before. I just had a thought that I wanted to teach you guys a questioning methodology. So at the end, I'm going to do that to walk yourself through changing your brain when you get into that space. So just remind me. I'm just going to, I'll write it down and we'll go through it. So when we realize this to me is so important, okay? Because how do you take what you're doing in your meditation? How do you take when you're thinking about your mindset and being positive? So here you are, I'm positive. And then all of a sudden you feel confused or you're losing things. So you lose things. And then what happens is you start losing things and you're like, oh, look, I did it again. So then what does your mind do? It starts to lose things. We live out. We do. You know, one of the things that I heard when my kids was little was to never say, don't spill your milk. Because what do you think they're going to do? They're going to spill their milk. How about, I'm so excited that glass is upright. You're going to drink that entire glass of milk. I love it. And this is what we are shifting to for ourselves. So let me continue here. And by asking you, knowing your default, what is your default? What's your default emotion? Is your default emotion that you get upset? Is your default emotion that you get uptight? Is your default emotion that you go into anxiety? I want you to become so clear so that when you see it, you know that is your sabotager. I said today, before I meditated today, because we did the group that the Evolving Hearts that I did it with this morning, we did the alchemy, you're the alchemist. And as I lay in my think box, okay, before I started my meditation, I said to myself, what is sabotaging me? What is my view that is, if I am the alchemist, if I am creating my life, then what thoughts are sabotaging me? It's so clear to me. Old, and I think about things that I do because of my family, excuse me, with no blame and with no judgment. I want you to know your default and be so clear, because in that moment, you are then able to shift it. So now let's get into how we start noticing it. So the question is, even right now, how do you feel right now? How do you feel right now? And being so aware. And Kim, I agree with you. I agree with you that, to me, joy, how do we get more joy and not feel separate from it? That is to me the, like, every day. What do I do? And so I want you to be super clear with how you feel right now, and then decide, is it serving you? You see, one thing, I do a lot of mindfulness. One thing with mindfulness is that people say, just sit in the moment. You've got to sit in the moment. For how long do you want to sit in that moment? How long do you want to feel like that? And how long do you want to feel like crap? I don't know. How long? And I say to myself, no, okay, I feel like this, and now I am choosing to feel like this. That is it. It's a choice. It's in that moment that I become conscious. So I want you to realize that that is what you're doing. And how do you figure out who's running the show? So let's start to, you can always, I'll send you guys the deck as well. But I also, if you like it, if you want it, I want to answer that question, Sarah. But in this, I want you to think about why we do certain things. And I want to go to this first place, and then I'm going to come back to what you said. So I'm a huge follower of Tony Robbins as well. And one of the things that Tony says is state, story, strategy. And I really live this. I think about this constantly, but I want to take it further, because I want to take it into what we're doing with our mindset. So I want to ask you, what is your state of mind? Are you conscious or unconscious? What is your mindset? Are you growth? Do you say no all the time? Do you say yes? Do you say, I want to learn? Do you say, tell me more? Do you use words like, I am curious? I want you to start, okay, paying attention. So for those of you who are coming every week to this, or even just checking in with us on our Mindset Mastery on the WhatsApp group, I want you to check in with, how conscious are you being? How conscious are you being every single day? And I want you to come back to this question. Who's running the show? Who's running the show? Is it those thoughts, or is it you? So how aware are you? And then how in that moment are you going to change it? And so Sarah, and let's go to your question, okay? Your question of, why do we want to wallow? It's not just you. Why do we want to wallow? Because it's comfortable, it's safe, and it's familiar. And our mind says it's the easiest place to be, until we change it. And when you change it day after day after day after day after day, then you find a new normal. And so your goal is to find a new normal. That's the goal. So the goal is to be conscious as much as you possibly can. What does that look like? It looks like 90%. It looks like 80%. It looks like knowing that you're 20% today, and that by next week you want to be 30%. It means that the more you practice this, the more you understand it. It means that the more you are able to get out of the familiar. And the familiar feels so good, and it feels bad, but it feels good because it feels familiar. Our brain will always do what's easiest. Why do you think on all these marketing campaigns and everything else that people put out, they have a one click, not 10 steps, one step? Because whatever's easiest is going to sell you. Whatever is easiest, our brain goes to. It's the same thing for an emotion. And if you've practiced being in a bad mood a lot, then you're going to get that easily. If you've practiced being triggered, if you've practiced being upset that your partner, that your person does certain things, then you're going to get to it. So this is the first question. And now I'm going to ask you something. I'm going to ask all of you to take a moment to think about something that has happened in the last week where you have been triggered. Can everyone remember one thing where you have been triggered in the last week? Okay, I want to ask you, what was your state of mind when you were triggered? Were you in joy? Were you like, I'm in the best mood ever? Oh my God, someone has their camera on. I'm sorry to yell. We don't do that, you guys. We don't do that. We don't go from pure joy to being totally triggered. So I want you to realize that whatever state you're in creates, whatever state you're in, I'm going to go pause some of this. I'll come back. Creates a story in your mind. That's what it does. So be so clear. So when you say, sorry, let me go back. When you say, Alex, why can't you line up your thoughts with your emotions? Because you are thinking, your thoughts are programmed, they're old. So when and here you are, you're like, I'm working so hard at being happy. Take your mind off of that completely and just imagine, when do you feel joy? When do you feel joy? So if I think about, okay, let's just take, let's take being sick or wanting more money or all the things, anything that you want. It doesn't matter what it is. When you think about that subject and then you think about, I must feel in joy. It's very difficult when you don't feel that way or you are in that space. But think about your kids, your grandkids, your partner, going outside, doing yoga, the sunshine, being at the ocean. I don't know. What gives you joy, guys? What gives you joy? Write in the chat. What gives you joy? Write something in the chat that gives you joy. When do you feel that you're not in lack? When you feel like you're just like, oh my God, I love this. Okay, I love that. I love that. Your cats, nature, swimming. That's where you go. So when you feel out of sync, you're trying to match up your mindset, it's going to that place of put your thoughts somewhere else. And all of a sudden, you're like, yeah, that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And that changes our state. And that state changes the stories in our mind. So again, when I asked you, how did you feel when you got triggered? You felt lack, you felt whatever you felt, it was not something positive. That in itself creates a story in our minds. And be super, super clear of, is the story something I'm creating? Is it from my past? Do you know where it's coming from? In our next session, we're going to talk a lot about this. So I'm super psyched to do that with you. I want you to know, I want you to be so aware of tying these together. Can you all do that? Can you tie that your state of mind, your mindset is tied to what's happening in your brain? The minute they're not separate. So the minute we tie them together, when you think about feeling burned out, oh my gosh, we have so much on our plates. We have so much going on. So the question is, how do you reframe that? Why are you feeling burned out? What state of mind? How do you wake up? How are you approaching projects? How are you approaching what you've got? This friend of mine said to me yesterday, I've manifested everything I want, and now I'm so stressed out because I cannot handle it all. And to the outside, you're like, what? But to the inside, you can imagine what was going on. Her identity was, I have a hard time handling everything. So it's a mindset shift. It has nothing to do. So it creates a story, and that story builds a story, builds a story, builds a story. So I just want us all to realize that this is what's going on, and that we know that where energy goes, we just, whatever we focus on, it gets bigger and bigger. And here is the question to follow it along. Our state of mind creates stories in our minds. So here's the deal. I feel joy. The story is, of course I can handle this. How exciting. The strategy looks calm, easy, and flow. I get triggered. I get triggered. The story is, oh my gosh, this is not good. This is not good. It's so hard. How many of you use the phrase, it's so hard? Please stop saying that. Please, I'm begging you. I myself, I'm training myself. We say it's so hard. Okay, it's that great. Now we've all focused on how hard it is. It's going to get harder. So we realize that that state creates that story, and now how I execute is tied. They're all tied together in every single thing we do. So when we realize this, we could start to change our mindset. And Charlie, I'm telling you, I'm going to show you a video. There's a researcher, his name is Sean Aker, and years ago I heard him, and I want to tell you something that it changed my life because of the research that was done around gratitude. So let me get there and let's talk about what we do first thing in the morning. So it's all about this. And I want to get to something. I want to get to something that we know. So Dr. Daniel Amen talked about automatic negative thoughts. And we all have ants crawling in our brains. We all do. Some of us have more and some of us have less. I want you to realize that when your mind goes to all the negative things, when it goes to, I'm going to show you this next slide, when it goes to any of this, it creates the state, creates the story. If you feel joy and someone says, can you do something? You won't get an ant. And when the ant comes in, you're able to recognize it. Okay, so I want you to really be clear and ask yourself, what are the ants in my life and what am I doing to myself day after day? So I'm curious to know, and you can write in the chat, what are some of the ants that you think, say, or hear from others and from yourself? What are some of the ants that you say yourself and say to others? And please unmute. If you have any questions, you guys, please unmute. Yeah, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I was totally focused. I have to tell you, I was totally focused on loving myself. And so I would say, after lots of the Dr. Joe retreats, I would say, I've got to love myself. I've got to love myself. And I'm going to do these meditations about loving myself. And then one day it occurred to me, I was sitting at one of the retreats and it occurred to me, wait, the more I'm in lack of loving myself, then I'm not going to love myself. I'm not going to feel worthy. So all of a sudden that thought to me, I realized that's an ant. And so what I say now to myself, and it has been a total change for me, is that I love myself, and that sometimes it's easy to forget and harder to remember. And so how do I remember that? And I do things like I heard a testimonial where this person put a thing on their computer where every hour on the hour it says sync to love. So what did I do? I'm like, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that. And every hour on the hour, I have a little pop-up that says sync to love. And no matter, even if we're in this meeting, I just take and I just remember in my heart how much I lead with love. And so I want you to think about, where are the ants getting you? And life is hard. Let's not expect too much. I'm not good enough. I'm not ready for this. I mean, all of these things are ants. All of these things are ants. And so we have to ask ourselves, what is going on in our minds, you know, and there's a lot going on in our minds that are going that we don't even, we're so unaware of, but cause so much disease. So when you look at this, I want you to think about, well, how do I interrupt? How do I interrupt everything? I interrupt it with gratitude. So I want you to take a moment, and I want to tell you about, I'm going to show you a video. I'm going to show you a video of Sean Aker quickly. And I actually want to just make sure I share my sound. And just, you might need to turn it up because the volume is not that high, but I'll turn up the volume on my end. I want to talk about what was so life-changing for me many, many, many years ago. So first of all, I want to share a study. There's a study of first year undergraduate students, and they first were assessed, okay, at the beginning of their first term. And then what they realized was they assessed them, where did they have gratitude? How much gratitude? And they realized that those that, and this is great for, you know, for us in everything we do, that the more gratitude we have, we are less stressed, we are less depressed, we have higher social support. There's so much. So I want to show you this video from this researcher, Sean Aker, and then I want to discuss it a little more and how it affected me.
The first one is work that was done by Emmons and McCullough, which is a really fascinating study. What they did is they went to a company,
Can you guys
much
hear
like
that?
many of yours. They went into a company,
Yes.
and they had every one of their employees on these individual teams, when they first came into work, write down 3 things that they were grateful for new into a Word document. By new, I mean something that happened over the past 24 hours. So what that means is 3 new things each day for 21 consecutive business days in a row. At the end of that period of time, of course, you have 63 things you're grateful for, which in and of itself is interesting, but not the reason we do the experiment. It doesn't matter what you write down. What matters is your brain is scanning the world for the things that are positive. Because what happens is we've oftentimes trained our brain to scan for the negative, that we're incredibly good at doing that. And we're only incredibly good at doing that because our brain is a single processor. So we devote our finite resources to scanning the world only for the negative, and as a result, continually miss out on the reality of the positive things that are occurring in our environment. If you do this for 21 days in a row, that research shows that you can take pessimists who always test pessimists, who we know have genes for pessimism, and they now test as low-level optimists. So excited they stopped the study. 6 months later, they came back to work with the company and found that those individuals did not return back to where they were. They were now testing as low to moderate level optimists. What they did is they started their meetings with one thing they were personally grateful for, one thing they were grateful for about their team, and one thing they were grateful for about one member of their team. Then they talked about the fires they needed to put out, but suddenly those fires were not threats, they were challenges. And as a result of that, the entire performance of the team started to rise.
Okay, so when I studied, I did a course with Sean Aker. So when I studied this, it was many years ago, and I was really, really having a hard time in my life. And what I realized through the study was that it wasn't just the gratitude of my health. I'm grateful for, write down some of the things that we just automatically say we're grateful for. If you will write in the chat, what do you automatically say you're grateful for? Okay, family, perfect. Health, right. It's Aker, A-C-H-E-R, A-C-H-O-R, A-C-H-O-R. Okay, the sunshine, your kids. Now I want you to do something. I want you to take what you just wrote or what you're thinking, and I want you to turn that into something super specific. What are you grateful for? Which kid and for what? What I am grateful this morning that I got to get up with the group, that I got myself out of bed, and that we did that meditation, and this is what I got from it. I am grateful that I met my friend Randy to walk this morning, and that I am able to do that, but not that I'm healthy. I had an amazing walk with Randy today. So I want you to be super, super clear on your gratitudes. So I'd like everyone to do this. We're going to do something. We're going to do a practice. I'm going to do 2 practices with you right now, and we're going to practice. The first thing I'd like you to do is, if you're in a safe place, I would like everyone to close your eyes, please. I want you to imagine yourself that you are in bed. You're in bed, and all of a sudden, and just keep your eyes closed while I do this with you. All of a sudden, your alarm goes off. And I want you to see yourself reaching over and turning off your alarm. And maybe your alarm didn't go off, you just woke up by yourself, but you wake up. And I want you to immediately look at your phone as though you're going to take it and say, nope. And you immediately think about what you are grateful for in the last 24 hours. So I want you to do that. I want you to think of 3 very specific things that you are grateful for without opening your eyes in the last 24 hours. And then once you do that, I want you just to say, thank you. Thank you. And then I want you to imagine yourself, if you can, if your body allows it, and if it doesn't, you imagine it. I want you to imagine yourself touching your toes and saying, this is a great day. This is the best day of my life. This is the best day of my life. And then I want you to open your eyes. We don't reach for our phone. We don't let someone else. I now can't remember who said it, but I don't work for someone else before I work for myself. I don't let the world manage me. I manage myself before anything. And for those of you who get up and meditate, don't look at your phone, because those things will come back and they'll be the things that you're focusing on. So we're going to do it again. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine your alarm going off. I want you to imagine yourself turning off your alarm. And then immediately thinking about 3 things that you are grateful for in the last 24 hours. Maybe they're the same things you were just grateful for. Maybe they're 3 different things. What are 3 things that you are grateful for? Be so clear, feel them. Be so grateful for them. It doesn't matter if it's a cup of coffee or an enormous thing. It makes no difference. And then I want you to imagine yourself reaching for your toes. And if you cannot reach for your toes, I want you to imagine yourself reaching for your toes and saying, this is a great day. This is the best day of my life. This is the best day of my life. Because truly, it is the only day of your life right now. Right now. And then open your eyes. So I challenge all of you to do this. And if you don't remember, there are days that I don't remember that I actually get back into bed and do it again. Because now it's such a habit. I've been doing it for years. But I will tell you that in that time when I wasn't feeling positive, and I heard Sean Akers speak, and he talked about these studies, and there's a whole study that they did with American Express during the recession in 2008, that they figured out that it wasn't just the gratitude, it was being grateful for things that are specific. That was a mindset shift. That is what changed us, not just gratitude. So that is how we learn. That is what we do. That is what we to rewire our brains, we do things like that. Okay. So Sarah, thank you so much. I'm so glad. It makes me so happy. So now I want to give you the next, there are tools. I said, we're going to leave here with tools. So here's another tool. So you know what, I'm going to come back to it because I don't want to go from one tool to the next in 2 seconds. So I'll come back to it for just a second, in just a second. There's an article that was written, a human mind is a wandering mind, and a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. And 47% of our time is spent thinking about other things. We are not in the present. We're in the past. We're in the future. We're constantly thinking about other things. And so when we're in that place, we are not able to be grateful because we're too busy in our heads. Remember, state, story, strategy. I want you to tie all these together. It's like a bow, you guys. I want you to imagine that we are filling a box, that we're filling a box with stuff. They are all related. Everything is connected. And I want you to imagine that, okay, how I choose my state of mind, am I conscious or unconscious? It reflects on how I'm going to take any story. Someone looks at you with a grin and you're in a bad mood, you now think that they hate you and you hate them. If you're in a great mood and someone looks at you with a grin, with a grimace, you say, okay, you just don't even pay attention. It changes the story, which changes how you react to them. And that changes our entire moment, which changes our day. So when we do this, when we start our day with this, it is a game changer. So now I want you just to take a breath, and I want you to think about those triggers again, because if anything out of today that I would like you to leave with, it's number one, how you're going to start your day. It's number one, that you're going to get your head starting to track for positive things. And for those of you who meditate in the morning and you go into your think box and you think about your intention, you have gratitude first, and then you go into your think box, because when you have gratitude, you are clear. And then with clarity, you're able to think about your intention. You're able to think about those things with clarity. And then you meditate. Okay. So here's the next thing. You get triggered. For some reason, you allow something to trigger you. I want you to do this. Please close your eyes again. I'm such a visual person, and the more you practice, the better we get at it. So this is something called SBNRR, and I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine the trigger. And I want you to feel your feelings that you get when you get triggered. And then I want you to immediately see a big red stop sign come in front of your eyes. You just see it. Stop. And I want you just all with me to take a breath, inhaling in and exhaling out. Just take a breath. And then I want you to notice. The trigger. Why did this trigger you? What is the trigger? What is the actual trigger? And then I want you to reflect. Why? I wonder why this bothered me. I wonder why. Why is this resonating with me? And then from that place, as you're breathing, I want you to think about how are you, now that you have analyzed this, now that you have felt it in your heart, now that you have taken a breath and slowed down your nervous system, how are you now going to respond? How are you now going to respond to your kids, to yourself, to the email, to the text? So I want you to open your eyes and I want you to write this down. SBNRR, stop. Breathe, notice, reflect, and respond. Or take a screenshot. And again, I'll send you the slides. I want you to think about something that's going to happen today or later on, or this week, or something that you've had that you think you're already thinking about it triggering you. Okay. Close your eyes. Everyone close your eyes. I want you to think about that trigger. And now I want you to see that big red stop sign. Visualize that big red stop sign. I want you to see it, and I want you to stop yourself. Stop. Take a breath. Everyone take a breath. Take a breath. I want you to see that trigger behind that stop sign and take a breath. And then I want you, just as you take that breath, to just notice how you feel. Notice that you're stopping yourself, maybe giving yourself a little pat on the back, maybe smiling like, oh yeah, I noticed, I stopped. And then I want you to just reflect. Why did that upset me? what does this remind me of? Am I pulling from the past? Am I having fear about the future? And then I want you to think about how can you respond in this state of mind? And just breathe. And then open your eyes. So this is a tool to say, how do I come back to positivity? How do I then come back to greatness? How do I come back to this present moment? How do I come back to understanding that, you know what, that ant that just popped into my head and that trigger that just triggered me, it's not me. It's not me. It's just familiar. It's just familiar. And now I can notice it. Oh yeah, I always get triggered when this happens. But I don't have to. I have a choice. I have the glory, the gift of a choice. And so in that choice, I get to choose again and again and again and again and again. And that is the key as we think about what we've done today and how to realize that our state of mind at any given time determines how many ants we're letting in, determines on how many triggers we're going to actually let trigger us, determines how much I think my thoughts are me when they're not. All of that starts with my state of mind. And if you in this moment feel depressed, in this moment you feel anxiety, notice it and then say, I'm going to make a different choice right now. I am going to do something to make a different choice in this moment. And so what do I do with that? Okay, so I'm going to give you some things to do. You get your body up. You get your body up. You put on, you go and you put on something that makes you so happy, that makes you so excited. So I want to show you, I want to play something for you that, okay, I'm going to just find it. Hold on one sec. I'm going to tell you what I do. I have a little trampoline, one of those little rebounders by my desk. Now, if you don't have the health to do that, you do it mentally. If you have the health to do it, you get your body moving. And then what I do, let me show you what I do. I take this song or others. Okay, I have a whole Joe Dispenza playlist, by the way, that I play all day long, but I play this song in particular. And because I love Pitbull, and I say, I just want to celebrate. What am I celebrating? And I mean, that in itself. So what I do is that I change my physical body. I change my physical, where am I? So if you are able to do that, you do that. And then what do I do next? I tell myself, I am not this. I might feel depressed in this moment, but I am not depressed. That does not define me. It is not my emotion. It is something that happened. It is something outside of me. And then I just stop and I just feel into my heart. Who am I? Who am I? Not how do I feel? And I make a shift. I make a choice. And then I think about, you wrote down what makes you feel joy. I think about my kids. I think about the beach. Oh my God, I love the beach. I think about the sunshine. I love any water. I'll go in any water. I think about my friends. So many of you here, I love. I think about your faces. It brings me joy. Put yourself, keep a list of what brings you joy. So, Alex, you go back to your question about how do I align? That's how you align. You don't think about being sick or being well or not having enough money or having enough money or not having the house that you want or the house that this or the apartment or the whatever, or not being thin enough or fat enough or whatever we are, right? Whatever we are, doesn't matter. You're not thinking about that. You're not working so hard to shift something that in this moment that is manifested that you cannot change. If I don't feel good about my body in this moment, what do you think? I'm just going to tell myself how great I feel? that takes a lot of work. But if I think about joy, and I'll tell you something, by the way, this has helped me tremendously just from a physical standpoint. I think about joy and what serves me and what doesn't. And that in itself brings me joy. And that in itself makes me realize, thank God for my body. Thank God for my body. Thank God that I get to have the choice of what gaining weight or losing weight. Thank goodness I get to make that choice. Okay, so it's coming to those places. So make your list and keep it around of joy. And every time you do not feel aligned, come back to that. And every time, close your eyes, every time, stop, red stop sign, see it, breathe. Notice, just notice, just notice, just notice. And then reflect. And then decide, how am I going to respond in this moment? What am I going to do? Oh yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So those ants, they're there. You have an opportunity to squash them. You have an opportunity to let them in or not. It's your choice. It's all our choice. Okay. Yeah, Ree, will you text me and tell me, and then I'll text you back, and I'll send you. I will talk. Ree had just commented on my background. Let me tell you, this is a painting that a friend of mine made, and it looks 3D, but it's not. But it's a painting that's got like material and paint and a picture. It's cool. So, thank you. Okay, questions, you guys. I know we have 1 minute. You have 1 minute to ask anything you want. Danelle.
Hi, Kim. I don't have a
Hi.
question. I just wanted to tell you thank you for taking the time to do this. It's my first time here. And we do the daily meditations together. And I always say,
Yes.
hi, good morning.
Yes.
To, see you in this element. And I just appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you. And I appreciate you. I love our group. It brings me so much joy I cannot even express. So, yeah. Any other thoughts or questions or anything? Okay, so here's the deal, guys. Next week, we have a different time because we're trying to get different time zones. You will get the recording. And if you have any questions, please reach out. And please know, I say this from the bottom of my heart. I practice this every day myself. That I practice over and over and over again. I make the choice. And sometimes I don't catch myself and someone has to remind me. So that's okay too. And then I'm reminded, oh yes. So just, this is our gift and this is our challenge in life. And so I'm just so excited that we're all together today and sharing each other, sharing the space, sharing the energy. And I love that you are letting me live my purpose. So thank you. Okay, so have the very, very best day. You can stay on, you can get off, you can do whatever.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Paul. I'm so glad you were here.